So this is the Sheffield Wednesday season review for the 2022-2023 season. And what a season this was. Hello and welcome to this video. If you could like, share and subscribe to the channel, I'd much appreciate it. Liking helps with that algorithm, sharing gets in front of people's faces, and subscribing lets me know you like the channel. Hit that notification bell to let you know when videos go live. So at the end of the 21-22 season, we had heartbreak. We had heartbreak and heartache at Hillsborough. We lost the game to Sunderland that had us in the playoff picture, and we were needing to go one better this season, hopefully go up as champions. And we had to start the season quickly, and Darren Moore made no time from the end of that game getting all of his plans and his ducks in a row and what he wanted to do. We started by looking at recruitment again, and we let a lot of good players go out of that team, and it was going to be another rebuild season for Sheffield Wednesday Football Club. And when you think about us having another rebuilding season, you think that is this going to be the situation again, where can we build a team to get out of League One? We started very early doors by bringing in the experienced goalkeeper, David Stockdale. Had so many promotions on his CV. At the time of him coming in, he had 4. He's a really good shot stopper. Very good player indeed. Got the experience. Came in from Wickham, who lost to Sunderland in that final. And he wanted to come here and win trophies and show what he could do. We then got Ben Hennigan in from AFC Wimbledon. A free transfer, got him straight in, and again, David Stockdale, free transfer. We got in Ben Hennigan, no nonsense centre back. A lot of people questioned if he was the right centre back for Sheffield Wednesday because he came from a relegation season with AFC Wimbledon. We then brought in the very experienced Will Vokes, who was very good in midfield for Cardiff. And everyone was very shocked and surprised that he took a step down to League One, because we all knew he could still do it at Championship level. But he's obviously got convinced to come to Sheffield Wednesday by Darren Moore. Very experienced defensive midfielder, can chip in with goals, and an all-round really good player. And I think it was a bit of a coup for Sheffield Wednesday to bring in Will Vokes. We then went and got centre-back Akin Femiru from Norwich for around 60k. This is the first bit of business we did, which was a fee. Now, he came in, and we thought, we've got a young player here, let's develop him and see how he can do. And it was starting to look like we were going to start getting some younger players in at times, just to try and develop them and see how we would go with that. Then we had a night which was mental in terms of transfers, and it upset one side of the rivalry with one team. We managed to go get Michael Owitway and Michael Smith on free transfers from Rotherham. These two turned out to be really smart signings for us, and a bit of a coup because they know how to get out of League One. They've been there, they've done that, they've got the t-shirt, and you're thinking, maybe this will be a good situation for Wednesday to be in. Then we bring in Tyreek Backinson, another defensive midfielder, on a fee, undisclosed fee. Now, young, 23, we're thinking, let's see how we can go with him. And the future here was bright with it at first, and thinking, right, might be able to get something in here. Reece James came in on a season-long loan from Blackpool. Got promoted from League One with Blackpool the following season. Told he can go back out on loan. Worked with Darren Moore before. Already knows how to play in a Darren Moore system. How to react to Darren Moore and the coaching staff. Really clever piece of business there. Alex Mighton comes in. a left winger. Don't really play with wingers. From Nottingham Forest on, I think it was supposed to be a season-long loan, but we'll talk about that later. But quick, tricky little winger. Think we could have done a lot with him if we used him to his ability. But really good. We looked like it was a positive move. We then had to bring in Mark McGuinness on loan from Cardiff, because Akinfenwa, second game of the season, gets injured, and we'll talk about that a bit more in detail. But gets injured, so we have to go bring in Mark McGuinness from Cardiff City, who comes in and does what we think is going to be the job that we need. You're thinking at that point all our business is done. And then you've got the transfer that was ongoing throughout the transfer window for Sheffield Wednesday with Malik Wilks. There was the it's on, it's off, it's on. Hull want this much. Hull didn't say that we'd had a bid put in. We said we put a bid in. It went on for ages for trying to get this right winger from Hull City to come to Sheffield Wednesday. But eventually it was over the line, and we had set up our team for being in League One along with other players from last season who had stayed. And you're looking at this team and thinking, there's a chance of getting out of League One with this team. It's actually a very capable team, isn't it? So we'll go on to have a look at how we did in the months of the games of this season. And we'll also go on and talk about this season kits next, because I think the way we did the kits this season was very clever and very well done. But we also had upgrades in the stadium. We had a new LED floodlight system, so save on energy, save on money there. We had some new coaching staff coming, like Simon Ireland, Jimmy Shan, people to come in and make us better behind the scenes. But we'll go into the shirts, and we will go into talking about the season games and how it started. So let's talk about this season kits that we had then. So we had a really nice blue and white shirt, which we traditional, lovely collar with the blue and white black accents. The badge is centrally in the stripe, which I love. And we had the host and stay sponsorship, which was quite a big deal. It was a good deal to get in. We partnered this with black shorts and blue socks, and it looked like a very nice home kit, and I believe this had sell well throughout the season. Then you go and have a look at the away kit. We have a yellow kit with the light blue accents on the side, on the trim. Really nice. You can see it slightly in this. It's got a slight embossed feel to it with stripes embossed into it, but not really actually shown as stripes. The host and stay on the front as well. Really nice kit, and we partnered this with blue shorts, yellow socks with the blue trim as well. And these were really nice kits, and I think the yellow kit did really well because I think a lot of people didn't like last year's pink kit. I think it was a bit too much for some people, sadly. I was always a fan of that pink kit. But the way we announced this as well, because we had Michael Whitway and Michael Smith put in both of the kits when we announced the kit launch. We announced the kit launch with the two players we got from Rotherham, and I think it was a really clever. There was a really good video tour with it as well, with Dalton Smith with the boxing, and you had the likes of Palmer, Gregory, Stockdale and Dawson in the mint green goalkeeping kits. It was a really good announcement, a way that we're trying to do ways of announcing our kits a little bit better. And I think we are getting better in the way we announce our kits and the promo videos and everything in between. So it was nice to see that production quality go up from the club as well. But it has been a really nice kit this season, and I think it sold very well indeed. So let's have a look at the games and tables during them. This is being used from the BBC website to do so, because they can give me a league table for the end of that month as well. August. So the league actually started on the end of July because there were games having to get done really quickly because of the World Cup. And we actually start our game season with a 3-3 game versus Portsmouth, with Lee Gregory getting sent off in this game. 2 goals by Deli Bashiru and a goal by Johnson. You were thinking, how are we going to do on this and how's it going to do? Deli Bashiru at this point was starting to look like a player who we got a really good setup with, and we could see some good things if he puts his head down. And 3-3 wasn't the best result because you're thinking, what's going on? Not great. You're looking at defence. You're thinking, are we there defensively? But again, first game of the season. And you have to remember that it's the first game of the season. It's cracking first game of the season, don't get me wrong, but it's the first game of the season. Let's go to August. So, this is the game where we win 1-0 versus MK Dons. I believe it was a Josh Winder penalty that we got in this one. It was. So, Josh Winder penalty to win this one. But in this game, this is where we lose Femero, who just come in. You're thinking, right, he was looking really good, and just a freak injury takes him out of the game, and he is out for a while. And this is a bit where we have to dip back into the transfer market to go and get the likes of Mark McGuinness. We get another good 1-0 win versus Charlton Athletic, and that 2 wins and a draw. You're thinking that's a really good start to this championship. That's a really good start to this League One campaign. And then you look to versus Bolton, a 2-0 win. And in this game, Liam Palmer steps up with a goal on his 350th appearance as well. And Byers at the same time. And you're thinking, this is looking like a really solid start to the season. We're looking to play well. We're playing some good football. We get Forest Green at home where they get absolutely hammered by us. 5-0. Winder, Bannon, Palmer, Gregory, and an own goal. Are you thinking this has been a really good start to the season and at the end of August? And if you actually look at the table, it's Portsmouth, Ipswich, and Sheffield Wednesday who are in the good standing there. And you're thinking, right, what can we do here going forward? 13 points, 14 points, play 6, 7 goal difference. And the table then was looking really good, and like we were starting to build a little momentum with this. And you go into September, and September is where we have this really weird mini blip. The start of September is a 2-0 loss to Barnsley. They outplayed us. They played some really good football. We didn't really get into the game after that. We got a 3-0 win versus Morecambe. And we started to see that we could turn the tables a little bit again. Change it up, go into it and go for it. We then have a 2-2 with Ipswich. And it's a draw. And one of the things last season, we had too many draws. And it's like, we have to get over this. In this, you're looking at this game and it's one for Johnson and one for James. No, sorry, one for Bayer, one for Smith. I read the assists then. And an own goal by Iorfa. And we were looking at hopefully trying to build on this with how we were doing. 2-2. And then Wickham, we get Wickham at home, a 3-1 win versus them. And everything's starting to look okay at this point. And you're thinking, okay, we're around about where we should be. Ipswich and Portsmouth both on 21 points, Wednesday on 20, and Plymouth on 19. And we're looking decent in that table. It's a really good start to the season. It's starting to look promising. And you're wondering, what could we go on from here? Roll into October. A 1-0 win versus Port Vale, and it was a stunning strike by Will Vokes to get us all 3 points. We get a 3-0 win versus Cheltenham Town. And you got to remember, looking at looking at like the likes of Plymouth and stuff. Now, I just did miss a goal line. We lost 2-1 to Plymouth at their place. And this was a little bit of a turning point in the season for me, where this loss was how do we come back from it? And we've had this a lot this season, where can we come back from certain results? 2-1 loss to Plymouth. Really good team at home. Then you've got the 3-0 versus Cheltenham Town. 2-0 versus Cambridge United. Looking really good at their place and playing the football, managing to get it back and have that coming back into a game. The 1-1 versus Lincoln City. This was a game where things started to look a little bit shaky because we were making a lot of chances, but we weren't able to finish them whatsoever. And that was what was causing our problem from last season. Making chances and nothing really dropping. Lincoln are a very good home team. In the end, they had the most draws at home, so a draw there didn't surprise me. The Bristol Rovers result. This was very much in the style of Joey Barton getting his squad up for this game, and they played very well indeed. They had a game plan. They could have also won this. Their keeper had a blinder that day. We win 4-2 at home versus Burton Albion. And we'll go to the Burton Albion thing. It'll tell us where we were at the end of October. So, you look at that table. Plymouth on top with 38 points. Ipswich on 37. Sheffield Wednesday on 34. And we're still in and around it at the top. It's still really tight. But us having a lot of those situations where we weren't taking our chances. And interesting, Wilk goes in this one, who had a very injury hit season. You go into November. And November is one of those situations where at this point we are doing okay. And this is where we're starting to build on this like really good run we're having, which ends up being a fantastic run in the end. Atkinson Stanley, we win 1-0. Really tough place to go and get a victory as well. 1-0 versus Shrewsbury Town. And that's November, really, because a lot of November, there wasn't many games due to World Cup for some teams. And also, we had the whole World Cup situation was starting to happen. And that's why a lot of the games didn't go through as they should have been. And they were trying to do it for different time zones and all that kind of stuff. But if you have a look at the table then, November was very low on games. Plymouth on top, Ipswich second, Wednesday third. There's a theme going on here, isn't there? And we know what that theme is. McGuinness with a goal there, who had a really good loan spell with us. And who knows, may even see him come back. So we go into December, and it's, I think this was a lunchtime kickoff because of England playing at like 3. And it was a 0-0 result. And Derby County have, at this point, got brought in Paul Warren, who has started to make things change a little bit for them. And a 0-0 versus Derby County with Paul Warren was a very good result. And remembering that also that Mendes Lang went there, and it was an interesting reception there. We got a 1-1 versus Exeter City. And this is where we start to pick up all these draws, which we don't really need. December wasn't a real good, happy hunting ground for us. A 0-0 versus Otford as well. And then you're looking at teams around us. Plymouth are winning. Ipswich lost that game. But if you have a look here, Plymouth get a draw, and then Ipswich went 2-1. We get a 2-1 win versus Fleetwood Town. Now, this goes on to be a very interesting situation for us because we beat Newcastle in the FA Cup, and then we have to go play Fleetwood twice in a row, 3 times in a row even, because it was then this, we had a draw at home to Fleetwood, and then we lost to Fleetwood on the replay at Fleetwood. And to be fair, at that point, I think we were all sick and tired of playing Fleetwood at that point. Then we went and played Vale 2-0, and that's 2-0, which is a good result. And that's the result we're going to end on while I look at the table. Smith with 2 penalties. So you look at the table, Plymouth on top, Ipswich just behind on 49, and Wednesday on 49 points. The same goal difference and the same point total. And this is a point where we're going into a transfer window where we need to be aggressive to a point. But as we know, we're not aggressive in the transfer market. We send back Alex Mighton to Nottingham Forest. And then we have some targets that we look at, and we don't seem to be able to bring them in, sadly. And what we do bring in is we bring in the experienced Aidan Flint. We get another 5-0 win at home versus Cambridge. Lincoln City get a draw with Ipswich. And Plymouth beat NK Dons 3-1. You're looking at the results and seeing what can they do. Things start to improve again, though. 1-0 versus Wycombe Wanderers. 1-0 versus Fleetwood. But we, like I said, we played Fleetwood so many times. I don't think it was this game where it Fleetwood and then Fleetwood back to back because of the FA Cup. So it was Fleetwood, then it was Fleetwood again, and then it was Fleetwood at their place. But we get a 1-0 win. Barnsley starting to play some good football and get good results. You look here, where am I? That's it. Fleetwood. Fleetwood was the last game, wasn't it? Before we had the FA Cup weekend. So we will click on here and see what happens. At this point, we got ourselves into second place. 51 points for Ipswich, 61 points for Plymouth at the top, and us on 58. We were so close behind them. They're thinking, right, let's see what we can do. Now, the thing here, Plymouth had a very good transfer window, but Ipswich had a phenomenal transfer window with what they brought in. They brought in the likes of George Hurst, they brought in the likes of Bennett, Nathan Broadhead even, sorry, and they brought in Massimo Luongo, ex-Sheffield Wednesday player. And January was an okay month. I think we really need to push on now and try and get these points, because at this point we were going on a really good unbeaten run at home and a really good unbeaten run in the league. And you're thinking, can we keep this up? We get a 1-0 win versus Plymouth. This game had lots of controversy in it, though. Sadly, there was a incident with a goal that we should have had, and then it got looked at as VAR. And halfway through this, we have a goalkeeping change through the season. Around December time, we have a goalkeeping change where Cameron Dawson gets the nod over Stockdale. And it was interesting watching that happen and seeing Stockdale get the nod over, seeing Cameron Dawson, get the nod over Stockdale. And it was interesting because it did Dawson the world of good, and he looked a really good player ever since he come back from Exeter on loan. Really did look good. And we continue our really good run, a 1-0 win versus Plymouth. We get a 2-2 versus Ipswich Town. Again, another game with controversy where Marvin Johnson is seen to elbow his man, and he gets a match suspension for it, even though he got nothing in the game. It got looked at, and this was a 2-2 draw with Ipswich Town, which we could have done without. We really needed to do without that 2-2 draw because it needed to keep us going. We got a 3-0 win versus Morecambe. We were very good. This game here, the 5-2 versus Milton Keynes, the game where we were losing this, I believe, when we were at half time, if I remember correctly. Yeah, we were 2-1 down, and we looked all over the place. But this was the game that showed us that we have the belief to come back from games and get back into them if we believe. And that's been something that's been the mantra by the looks of it by a whole season. Just believe in ourselves. We know we can get back into games if we just get the belief in each other. But you get into the point in January time, we lost Patterson, and then we lost Michael Whitway halfway in the season as well. So we were short at the back. And Whitway and Patterson do start to come back into this near the end of the season, and they make a big, big difference to us. But it was a bit of a wake-up call that we are vulnerable at times. We got a 1-0 win versus Charlton, and that's the last game there. 1-0 win versus Charlton, and it's Palmer again. Palmer get another goal. I think his total for this season was at least 6 or 7. Best goal scoring he's had. And this put us on a 20 match unbeaten run. We were top of the league on 71 points. 32 played, 33 games played by both Plymouth and Ipswich. Plymouth on 68, Ipswich on 63. Now, this is where things go awry in March. March was not a good month for us. We got the 1-0 win versus Peterborough at home. And much needed that game. Needed to get the win. And you're looking at like teams like Plymouth, Ipswich 2-0. A very rare loss for Plymouth at times. They were quite good on the road, even though I didn't say they were on the 72 review show at times. Went to get a 1-1 versus Bolton. Now, from this game, we lose. We already lost George Byers before this game. He was a massive blow, and we don't have him for the rest of the season, sadly. But in this game, we also lose Josh Windass. We've also already been low on players in the likes of Patterson, in the likes up front. Leads are very slim pickings. And also, I believe it was the game, one of the games, I think it was against Cheltenham at home. It was either one of them. No, it was Atkinson Stanley, sorry, it coming up. We get a 1-1 with Bolton. We lose Windass, he limps off, and you're thinking, that's not what we need at this point of the season. 17th of March. And then we have games in hand that we need to win. You go to this game here, 4-2 versus Barnsley. Barnsley break Sheffield Wednesday's unbeaten run of 23 games. And at this point, it was the best run in Europe. And for it to be broken by Barnsley was a bit of a kick in the teeth. They did play well. There were many mistakes in this game as well by us. The way they got it, we went on to go on try and get the winner and to try and push on to get a winner or try and level it up, and they got us on the break. Very good for them. But it started a really bad run for Wednesday. We then went to Forest Green and lost 1-0 to a team that hadn't had a win all season. I think they got a win versus us. A 1-0 win at their place. Big win for them. Massive, massive result for us on the other way round. Not what we needed. The unbeaten run was broken. We then go to Cheltenham, where the keeping situation gets changed again. David Stockdale goes in net. Makes some really big saves. But you actually look at this now, though. We don't have any more games in hand. Ipswich 37, Barnsley 37. Plymouth in the end do get a game in hand. We have Plymouth on 80 points, us on 79, Ipswich on 75, Barnsley 72. We have this thing where the games in hand massively cost us in what we're trying to do. Just massively cost us in a big way. And again, it came to the thing of not being able to, but at the same time, the unbeaten run was over, and it seems like we were just struggling to get used to the fact that we're having to go back into it. Flint getting a goal and Gregory on the 87th to save us, because we could have easily lost that game. You go into April. I apologise for scrolling too far. 1-1 versus Lincoln. This game, there was a surefire penalty that got given against us. It was controversial. It was a poor one. There's nothing that we could have done about it. And yeah, they frustrated us in this one. They really did frustrate us. They were really good in this game, but it was a draw. Oh no, this isn't that game. So we go into the situation, and it's Wednesday versus Lincoln, draw specialist. They get a draw. Played very well against us, and we're like, can we do something a little bit better than this? We go into the Oxford United game. Again, this is one of those games which is insane. Wilt gets the assist of well for Bannon's goal, which is absolute superb, an absolute cracker. Now, the thing in this game is the penalty by Brannigan. The issue with the penalty versus Brannigan is the fact that there's nothing Femero can do. He's getting up. He doesn't know the players there. It was a poor penalty to give against us. And it's like results and things not going our way again. We go against Accrington Stanley, and we get a 3-0 win. Needed that from the game versus Lincoln. But Wilkes has a really good second half, but then has to come off because he's injured. And that was the ref we would see at Wilkes. We've seen bits of Wilkes this season where he was really good in the talent there, but then it just doesn't seem to materialise that well. A 3-0 win versus Accrington Stanley. We then go to Burton Albion. We lose 3-2. And it's like, this is the time where you want to be winning games and we're dropping points. This is not the time of the season we want to be dropping points at all. And at one point, there were bits where we did actually think in February we might be up and near about it. And it wasn't what we should have been doing. We overthink it. We lose 3-2 to them, and that helps them with their ability to stay up this season. We go to Bristol Rovers and get a 2-1 win. Really good game. Bannon and Femeru. I believe this might be the one that Femeru came out of. I may be wrong. But 2-1 win at their place. Really hard place to go and play at as well because they have a really good structure. We get a 2-1 win versus Exeter. But you see the thing, Plymouth getting 3-1. Ipswich 2-1. They are slowly 3-0. There was a period where Ipswich just went mental. They really did. And you see here, Plymouth Argyle versus Bristol Rovers, Bolton Wanderers versus Accrington Stanley. I believe this was their 2 games in hand. Not Accrington, Barnsley and Ipswich. This was their games in hand. We needed Barnsley and Ipswich Town to do us a favour. None of them favours happened. And this is where we knew at this point that we weren't going up automatically. We just weren't. If you actually look at the table here, Plymouth 95, Ipswich 94, Wednesday 90. We knew we weren't going up automatically after that. We just had to consolidate and see what we could get. So we get a 3-0 win versus Shrewsbury Town, a Michael Smith hat-trick. Ipswich win 6-0. So you already know they're going up. They're fighting for first and second with Plymouth. Plymouth get a 1-0, but 6-0 versus Exeter, which is really good goal line for them. And we go into the last games of the season. We get a 1-0 win versus Derby County and finish on 96 points. Any other season, we are up with 96 points, but it is not to be at all. So let's go to Plymouth, who go up as champions. I believe they were away to Port Vale. Ironically, Port Vale was the one team that gave them, I think, a loss at home. So they go up champions. Really good season. They finish on 101 points, 35 goal difference. Ipswich finish on 98 points, 66 goal difference, which was just insane. And then Wednesday on 96 points, 44 goal difference, 96 points, and you don't go up. So we then are in the playoffs. We know who we got. Peterborough, Pip, Derby to that playoff spot. We beat Derby 1-0. Peterborough beat Barnsley 2-0. Was it 2-0? It was, yeah, 2-0. So we go into playoffs. And we're just having to see what happens. So the first playoff game, we get absolutely demolished at Peterborough, 4-0. Things are not great. The thing saying at the end of the game, you're not fit to wear the shirt. People chanting at the squad. It was a bad game. And you're thinking, how can we come back from this? How in the hell do we get back into this? Like, I think a lot of us thought maybe this is done. This is game, it's done. No team in playoff history has ever come back from that much deficit to win. Bolton got a 1-1 with Barnsley. You go on to our game, which goes down as the greatest playoff game in history. We start off early doors really well. Michael Smith penalty, 1-0. Gregory gets a goal, 2-0. At half time, it's 2-0, and you're thinking, if we just keep doing what we're doing, we will be okay. And as time goes on, James with a really good run into the box and shot, and it's 3-0. You're thinking, we can't. Can we actually do this? Aidan Flynn gets the crossing, Aidan Flynn knocks it back, Liam Palmer's there to stab it in on the 98th minute to get us into extra time. We are in extra time in a playoff final, which we were 4-0 down from. We were 4-0 down from. We managed to get back into it. We go into extra time with this minute. It's 1-1, it's 5-1. They're ahead on aggregate line. Own goal, very unlucky for Smith. Had to wear a protective mask as well because he had a facial injury, so it comes off his mask. Then steps up Callum Patterson, 112 minutes to make it 5-5 on aggregate. And we go to penalties. Jack Hunt scores the 5th penalty that takes us to Wembley. This will go down as the greatest playoff game comeback in history. And I am so happy for this one for doing so. At this point also we had Michael Whitway back. We have, as you can tell, we have Patterson back. We had Josh Windass back. Didn't play well in this game. Coming back was a bit rusty. So we go to it and it's Barnsley in the playoff final. It's Barnsley. The team that has had our number all season. A 2-0 win at our place for them, and they beat us 4-2 at their place to beat our unbeaten record of 23 run. And also, we had a point record of 96. We had a clean sheet record of 24 and won more games on the road, 12, than any other season. Darren Morside haven't lost the league game in any competition since 2022-2023. It is the highest scoring league campaign since 2011-12, when they found the back of the net 81 times. That's how good of a season. So we go to the playoff final. This was a very poor game for Sheffield Wednesday Football Club. It was a poor game. We were poor, we didn't play particularly well, didn't take our chances. First half, if we could have taken some of our chances, it would have been nice, but we didn't. You then go into the second half. They don't have a penalty given. VAR says no. We spoke about it on the podcast, so we don't know they then get a red card. The red card for me. It's dangerous, it's too short, and he's not in control. Pundits alike all say half should have been yellow, and maybe that should have been red. We have VAR in this, and VAR said this. What it is, it's VAR. You then, in that second half, even though they were down to 10 men, they looked like scoring them. We were hanging on. All we could do in this final was lump it forward, and no one was really hanging on. We go into extra time. First half, play some really good football. Smith really good. Their keeper has an absolute blinder with saves. Really well done. In that second half as well, they had a shot that hit the top one. But really good chance going forward. You can't get past their keeper at all. He's been outstanding for Barnsley. They go up the other end and they get it to Connell, and you think, he's got this. Dawson's in no man's land. He's not going to get hold of it. And he missed an absolute sticker. At that point, you're thinking, is Lady Luck on our side today? Is Lady Luck going to be here for us again to help us? You go into that second half. Darren Moore says, dig deep, we've got this. Go for the first ball, go for the second ball. You hear it in the stuff that comes afterwards. And you do it. Jack Hunt gets the ball in and gets it back to Will Oates. Cracking goal. We're off celebrating. The offside flags up. Jack Hunt's offside. It doesn't count. They go forward and have a lot of good chances. Good blocks by the Wednesday defence. Good save by Dawson. And then it's all but looking like it's going to penalties. It looks like penalties are on the cards. Dawson kicks it long. Deli Bashir who come on for Barry Bannon, and Barry Bannon just can't move anymore. He's trapped up. Deli Bashir then gets it to Lee Gregory. Lee Gregory turns it back, cuts it back into John Windass. The 120-minute plus 3 minutes of added time. Diving header past their keeper to win the League One playoff final with the last touch of the game. Sheffield Wednesday go up to the Championship via the playoff final. What a season. Just what a season it has been for Sheffield Wednesday football. Just a cracking season. And we deserve everything we've got this season. 96 points. Any other season that makes you go up. Clean sheet record, 24. You look at what we've done. And Sheffield Wednesday are now a championship